Hello my loves, I'm back for my second video of the day, and today's second video is about symbiotic relationships between humans and plants. So if you don't know, I like to talk a lot about our mental, spiritual, and physical health of our very being, and the reason being, I look at it like the Holy Trinity, you know what I'm saying, like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and the physical being the sun, the spirit being your spiritual self, and the father kind of like your mental state. That's kind of how I look at it. You see what I'm saying? So anywho's, I just want to talk about how we basically are in a relationship with everything in this ecosystem. However, today I'm going to talk about the relationship with humans and plants. And I didn't send you guys out peace, blessings, and abundance, because I always want to bless your life. I always want to send you out abundance. I always want to send you out that type of energy. Because a lot of times we're sending out negative energy, and I do not want to be a part of that destructive pattern. I'm a creator, not a destroyer. You know, so me no. That's my get back into my Jamaican. Me no like to destroy. Okay, so yeah, so I'm gonna go into, first off, the similarities between humans and plants, and then I'm going to go into how we are in a symbiotic relationship, and what symbiotic means, and what a symbiotic relationship actually is, and then also the benefits of plants to the human body. All right, okay, let me drink a little water first. Water. Okay, so I actually took some notes, so I'm gonna look at my notes and, you know, still focus on you guys. However, I do need to look at my notes because I am working, like I say, every time I'm working on making sure I don't miss any points. And I know that I have a tendency to go off script per se, but those to me are the best videos. Like, see, I'm going off script now, but I want to say this. When you think about a lot of the actors like Martin, the reason why that television show was so good is because even though they had their script, Martin and the other cast members, they always would just say something off the fly, and it would just work. That's how they came up with how he came up with a lot of his tag phrases. You know what I'm saying? You know, so Marty Marr was really big on letting his comedic genius come out and allowing the cast members to do the same, and that's why that show was so successful. Okay, oh, Marty Marr. All right, so humans and plants have similar structures. The only difference is that humans have a structure that's built around iron, and plants have a structure that is built around magnesium. All right, so there are 4 elements that actually go or are part of the structure of humans and plants. Those 4 elements are oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen. So plants have a magnesium base, and humans have an iron base. However, the 4 elements are the same for both of these organisms. Okay. See how I am? Yeah, even though I didn't read it per se, yeah, that's exactly what it is. So we have hemoglobin is what our blood is, and plants have chlorophyll. So because they have a magnesium base, they have chlorophyll, which is green. Because we have an iron base, we have hemoglobin, which is our blood. But they function in the same way, which is carrying the elements to our cells in order for our cells to break down those elements and turn the elements into energy. All right. Okay. I'm just going off of my own thoughts. All right. But it is the truth. Okay. So what I said is Think of it as your solar system, with the center, the base being magnesium for the plants, and then for us, our base being iron. Think of the magnesium or the iron as the sun, okay, of the solar system, and those four elements being the planetary bodies that are magnetically drawn to the sun, or to iron and magnesium. All right, so that is your hydrogen, your carbon, your oxygen, and your nitrogen. Okay, it is basically our internal ecosystem. All right, so how is our relationship with plants symbiotic? And actually, what is symbiotic? So symbiotic is involving an interaction with between two different organisms living in close physical association or proximity, denoting a mutually beneficial relationship between different people or groups. And a symbiotic relationship is a special type of interaction between species. These relationships are essential to many organisms and ecosystems, and they provide a balance that can only be achieved by working together. And there are also symbiotic relationships that can be considered negative, and those are parasitic ones. However, my focus today is on the ones that are actually beneficial and that cause balance between our bodies, okay? All right. I gotta turn my page. So, we're going to talk about photosynthesis and the way that plants actually work, which I know in school, they talked about photosynthesis. And as I was getting prepared for this video, I thought it was actually funny how I had learned this in school and how this is coming back up. And it just goes to show the things that were actually important that we learned in school, how it comes back into play. And you see the importance of some of those things when you're going through your spiritual journey, and you start to take more of a deeper dive into it and how it relates to the human body. So, plants utilize the energy of sunlight to convert carbon dioxide and water, which is photosynthesis, into carbohydrates and oxygen by photosynthesis. Okay, now carbohydrates, we see that on the labels for food, and we hear that word, and it's a lot of words we hear every day, but it doesn't mean we have an understanding and overstanding of what the word actually means. So when you think of carbohydrates, just think about sugar. Not that it's only sugar, but in this particular example with the plants, that's mainly what they're doing. They are breaking down the carbon dioxide in the water, and they're converting that into sugar, and they're keeping the sugar, and they're expelling out or releasing, not all, but some of the oxygen. And they release some of the oxygen is like a waste product that they're releasing. Okay, and the oxygen is what the humans take in, what we breathe in, because the oxygen is what basically why am I getting into this part yet when I haven't read it? See what I do? But anywho, the oxygen is a very important part of the human body and the functioning of our body. It's not that we just need to breathe in oxygen. It is a reason for it. Okay, so now I'm going to get into that. So humans, carbon dioxide is the waste gas. So carbon dioxide is our waste. Oxygen is the waste of the plants. But it's the waste gas that is produced when carbon is combined with oxygen, all right, as part of the body's energy making processes. So I talked about in the video, I think it was about the signs and symptoms of imbalances on one chakras. I talked about how our cells basically work to produce energy. So when we're eating all foods we take into our body, the cells have to break down that food into different categories, okay? And the elements that it breaks down, it has to send it to certain parts of our body in order to replenish certain things. And if it considers it waste, then it is going to send it out as waste so that we can get rid of it. It does the same thing with carbon dioxide. However, I'm going to talk about that process a little bit more. So, meaning this, excuse me. What kind of writing? I was writing real fast. When I write real fast, sometimes some letters don't even look right. Okay. So meaning the cells in the body breaks down the food we eat and expels waste from the body. Carbon dioxide, which is made by cells, so our cells actually make carbon dioxide. Okay. Made by cells as they do their work, moves out of the cells into the capillaries. If you don't know what a capillary is, a capillary is the smallest hair blood vessel. It's hair-like. That's how thin it is. Blood vessels. They serve to distribute oxygenated blood from from arteries. I tell you, this writing right now. From arteries to the tissues of the body, and to feed deoxygenated blood from the tissues back into the veins. All right, that's what your capillaries do. All right. So, like I said, it moves out. It moves out of the cells into the capillaries. It leaves the cells and it goes into the capillaries, which is sending oxygen to your tissues, and then so it's distributing the blood with the oxygen to your tissues, and then it's feeding the deoxygenated blood from the tissues, so the parts of the tissues that's not that's lacking oxygen or does not have oxygen, back into our veins. So it's, everything in our body is working to do things, even though we're not consciously aware of it. It has its own consciousness. It's its own ecosystem, its own operating system that we don't have to tell it to do something. It does it because it has its own intelligence. Okay, so it says where most of it then dissolves into the plasma of the blood, and then blood rich in carbon dioxide then returns to the heart via the veins, and from the heart this blood is pumped into the lungs, where carbon dioxide passes into the alveoli to be exhaled. And the alveoli are tiny sacs within our lungs that allow oxygen and carbon dioxide to move between the lungs and the bloodstream. So you see how our body works together to either take in the things we need or to secrete out or expel the things that we do not need in our body. Okay? So now we're going to talk about the benefits of chlorophyll, which chlorophyll, again, and just think of it as the blood of the plants. All right. Just like our blood, our hemoglobin works through our body to do that whole process. The chlorophyll works through the plant body to do the same. So the benefits of chlorophyll for humans, it promotes the health of circulation, which is your blood circulation. So it actually helps aid in that process that I was just talking about. It cleanses our body. It increases the number of red blood cells, therefore increases the oxygen throughout the body. It heals our skin. It detoxifies our blood. It helps with weight loss. It aids in the prevention of cancer. It helps alleviate acne. It is an anti-aging for humans. It also aids in the healing of our wounds, and it also helps with hormonal imbalances. So it balances your hormones, which makes sense with the whole acne thing. If it's balancing your hormones, which basically acne is the kind of like an overactive hormone. So you might be getting too much testosterone or estrogen or whatever, which is causing for you to produce too much of that, which can cause for that. And also certain foods that you eat, because you got to think about your pores is another thing, part of your body, your portals that expels out certain things. So like when you sweat, your sweat glands, it is expelling out the food and stuff you ate too. So because cells are all over your body. And so when it's expelling out those things, certain things could clog your pores because it's what am I saying here, guys? Certain things can clog up your pores, and when it clogs up your pores, it causes for a pimple or a blackhead or whatever to come out. And That's why people who they'll call somebody pizza face when they have a whole bunch of pimples, because when you think about like grease and certain things, cheese, especially cheese, a lot of your pimples and things like that is really just the food you eat. So when you're taking in and consuming chlorophyll, it's actually purifying and detoxifying your body. So it's keeping your body clean, basically, which is in turn keeping your skin clean. All right. Now, magnesium, which is the base of plants, we're going to talk about the benefits of that. So, magnesium helps aid in your bone health, and it helps increase your intake of calcium. You know, they always try to get you to drink cow's milk saying calcium. You just really need to eat more greens, more green plants. It helps prevent diabetes, migraine headaches, PMS. It relieves anxiety. So if you feel anxious all the time, that means that you are not eating enough greens. If you are on the borderline of diabetes, that means that you're not taking in greens. If you are feeling like or being told that you're anemic, you need to take in more greens. It lowers your blood pressure. It and it also when you think of blood pressure, when you eat hot wings or whatever, you notice how they always give you celery with it, which is a green thing. Celery lowers your blood pressure. That's the reason why they give it to you, because eating the spicy food, it can kind of like elevate that a little bit. So they counteract it with celery, and a lot of people don't even eat the fucking celery, or they want to drench it in ranch dressing or blue cheese dressing, which is taken away from the natural properties of that celery. All right, so heart health, it helps prevent heart attacks and heart failure and arrhythmia, or abnormal heart rhythm. So there are a lot of benefits to it, and that's why it is actually best for you to eat a plant-based diet, because you are actually benefiting your physical health by eating those things. And we won't even talk about how it also... And also your mental health, because it helps with anxiety and things like that as well. And when you are battling with anxiety, I talked about in my last video, you can also relate that to your root chakra, which is your foundation. All right. So it plays a part in your physical, in your spiritual, and your mental well-being, that symbiotic relationship with you and plants. So just think about it as you're taking in life versus death, because the Rastafari community, they some of them are really big on actually eating more of a plant-based diet, because they understand that eating plants is life versus eating an animal, which is a dead thing. You're eating the carcass of it. You're eating something that's actually supposed to just go back into the earth, and it's supposed to nourish the earth through being that waste. However, we're actually eating waste, which you're supposed to expel, and that waste is not giving life or any type of really health benefits to us. Is actually being more of a detriment than any healthy benefits that could come from it. All right. So with us being living beings, we're supposed to take that in. And there is a cycle of life for every organism on this planet. The earth is everything. We are also everything. However, the way this body is chemically made up, it is more beneficial for you to eat plant-based diet. And this is not for me to knock anybody who is still eating meat, who feels that they need meat, who feels like, okay, well, I'm going to continue to do that. Everybody's at a different stage in their journey. And at one point, I went back to eating meat. Even though I just talked about not going back into the past, like last year from March to May, I think. Yeah, to the end of May, because in June is when I went back to not eating any meats anymore. But I did go back to it and just looked at my body and the way that I was feeling. And to be honest, that at that point in time, my emotions were so fucking erratic. Like, I had started going back, dealing with feeling very, very anxious. And feeling like unloved and feeling kind of needy and all that bullshit. So I noticed that when I started to detox and I got back into the plant based, I did start to feel more confident and I didn't have all these fears because when you think about an animal when it's being slaughtered, being killed, it has a lot of fear running through it, a lot of emotions running through it at that time. And so when you eat it, you're taking on that energy as well. So that's why I was feeling that way. And if you're not working on transmuting that, or you haven't built yourself up, to be honest, to a healthy spiritual and mental capacity in order to take in that type of energy and transmute it, a lot of times you will wind up taking on it in an unhealthy manner. There are some people who know how to transmute that energy, and that's why they take it on. However, I have seen that most people who do still like eat meat, you tend to be a lot more aggressive, to be honest. Just like the animal you take in could, exhibit that type of behavior. So because you are what you eat. So anywho's, I just wanted to do that this video to just talk about that relationship and how it's beneficial for you in so many ways, and how we can prevent a lot of illnesses by eating a plant-based diet and taking in what is naturally beneficial for this human body. All right, my love. So I know that and I trust that this information that I just gave to you, that it is receptive, and it will benefit you in your life so that you can live the healthiest life that you can live in this very moment. So I love you guys and have a great day. Peace.